This is part 4 of Building Footy Nippers. And today I want to talk to you about something that in my experience separates founders who usually struggle from those who scale. And that is building your team of experts. There's a simple idea that stuck with me for a few years, which is that every athlete has a coach. Therefore, why shouldn't founders be any different? And I once heard it put perfectly. Do you see top athletes without a coach? Of course not. That's because they need to absorb every ounce of learning as fast as possible. And they also usually, due to body clocks, have a finite time to do it. Why are startup founders any different? In startups, the founders are the athletes and advisors are the coaches. They accelerate learning, they shorten mistakes, and they dramatically increase your odds of success. Even the most experienced founders and executives, ones running global companies, still have mentors, advisors, and coaches guiding them. From Richard Branson to Bill Gates, you name it, they've got them. That mindset was drilled into me very early. Surround yourself with people that have already been where you want to go. Through previous startups, I've been very fortunate to be able to bring some incredible people to the table, from senior leaders at global companies like Adidas and Apple to operators who've started businesses and scaled them at a very high level. And there's always a moment early on when that light bulb goes off, at a certain point where every founder realizes, I can't do this alone. For Troy and I, that came very early on with Footy Nippers. Between us, we've deeply understand startups, capital raising, coaching, youth development, culture, community. But our experience in franchising, especially at scale, was very limited. At the same time, we were very clear on how we wanted to build Footy Nippers, which was a content-led business, one that builds credibility and trust long before the first conversation, and one that leads through impact, not hype. So the question became, who has already done this exceptionally well? And that's when we kept coming back to a guy by the name of Joel Kluber.
Franchisee generated content, or FGC, is such a massive unlock for any franchise brand. Showing franchisees how to create content and allowing them to create video content at a local level will do wonders. We've actually got a lot of franchisees now that get DMs from franchise prospects wanting to know about being a franchisee in our system. They're not inquiring on our website, they're not calling the call center, they're actually DMing a franchisee on Instagram and asking about the experience. And obviously the franchisee's happy, they tell them, and that builds that extra trust, and then they inquire. So this is something to actually really take notice of. If franchisees have access to social media accounts, rest assured that people will ask them not only about doing jobs for them, but being a franchisee in the system. So making sure that you support franchisees well, and if they have an access to a social media account, they're going to be one of your best sales tools that you can have. And this is the modern way that people are actually researching being franchisees. They're walking into stores, they're messaging the social media accounts and actually asking franchisees direct, what is it like being a franchisee in the system? Tell me the truth.
Joel was the CMO of Jim's Group. And if you're not familiar, Jim's Moan is one of the divisions of Australia's largest franchise group. For months, I'd been following Joel's content very closely, how he thinks, how he communicates, how he builds trust at scale. And Joel is widely credited, including by Jim, the founder himself, as one of the key reasons as to why Jim's Group has added over 2,000 franchises in 6 years, taking them to nearly above 6,000 in total. This wasn't luck, it was systems, content, transparency, putting the customer first, and a deep understanding of franchising psychology. I knew we needed Joel in our corner, so we reached out. We had an in-depth conversation, then we had another. We aligned on values, vision, and how Footy Nippers could have best achieve its goals. And today, I'm very proud to say, Joel is officially an advisory board member for Footy Nippers, helping Troy and I turn our vision into something scalable, credible, something that adds value and is genuinely world-class. And that is exactly why advisors matter. So, lesson of the week. Be very clear on who your ideal advisor is and the gap they will fill. Learn how they think. Make sure you make the first move. And remember, for a cash-strapped startup, equity can be the smartest way to create real buy-in without it costing you anything. The right advisors don't just give advice, they accelerate learning and dramatically increases your odds of success.